Hello and welcome to the main stage. Throughout this session, you and in your breakout rooms have explored how legal forms of justice can operate from a survivor-centred approach, and you have been given the opportunity to share your experience relative to this. However, as we all know, not all survivors access or experience justice in this way. Many survivors of trafficking experience non-legal forms of reconciliation when reintegrating into their communities. Today, we're joined by Jeffrey Omeni, the Executive Director of Youth Leaders Restoration for Development, which is a community organisation based in Uganda, designed and driven by former abductees who have the skills, passion, insight, and resiliency to lead. Welcome again, Jeffrey, and thank you for joining us today. Could you please give us a brief introduction to yourself and your experience?
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Geoffrey Omoni, and I am the Executive Director of YORBET, a community-based organization in northern Uganda, which is led by and for the former child soldiers in the region. I am delighted to speak at this international conference today on modern slavery, and I am absolutely grateful for this platform. Yes, a very quick background to the conflict and the issues of child soldiering. The war in northern Uganda began in 1986 and lasted until 2006. And it has been a conflict between the Lord Resistance Army and the government of Uganda. The Lord Resistance Army were notorious for their abduction of children to serve as soldiers in the conflict. During the war, they abducted between 40,000 to 50,000 children from northern region who lived in captivity for many years. Approximately 40% of these children were girls, many of whom returned from the enslavement as child mothers. Upon escaping from the conflict and attempting to return to their communities, the majority were shunned or not accepted due to stigma of having served in the conflict and the lack of successful integration efforts in the region, despite the government of Uganda granting amnesty to all former combatants. Resultantly, many of those children who served in the conflict, including children born in captivity, are facing a serious challenge of rejection, lack of education, stigmatization, trauma, breakdown of trust, and mental health issues.
As previously mentioned, the session explored legal forms of justice. Can you share your thoughts on the importance of non-legal forms of reconciliation and reintegration for survivors?
Today I will first speak about the forms of justice which are appropriate for the people of Acholiland or northern Uganda. And then I will speak about the work of YORBET and how we work to support successfully into the community the reintegration of former abductees of the conflict, former abductees. When I speak of abductees, I am referring to those children who were forcefully recruited to serve as part of the Lord Resistance Army as child combatants. We are all witnessing the case of Dominic Ongwen, a former child soldier turned into a rebel commander at the International Criminal Court in The Hague as a so-called retributive form of justice for the conflict. And now, for many of us in the region, this form of justice is inaccessible and does not speak for or to the majority of the communities and population in northern Uganda, including those who we formerly abducted. Legal forms of justice, particularly those members of the International Tribunal do not attend to the immediate needs of former child soldiers. In the traditional and cultural context of the Acholi people, we believe in the process of restorative justice, referred to as the Matoput. The first step to reconciliation and healing is seeking forgiveness from the people affected by the war. If the community can forgive former child soldiers, then that is the beginning of reconciliation. What follows immediately is the issue of compensating the war victims. And and restorative justice is actually what is good for us, the people in Achoriland and the community in northern Uganda, because it is what it works to heal the broken relationship that gives possibility to discuss issues relating to compensation of victims. Restorative justice also increases the safety and give possibility for victims to provide their voice and also create peace and a stronger community. And that is what the people of Achoriland and Northern Uganda want.
Thank you for sharing. I think that's a really important point that you've made. And I believe this ties in perfectly with the work that you have been doing with your organization, Youth Leaders for Restoration and Development, which is a fantastic example of how to support people within kind of reconciliation and reintegration within their communities. Could you tell us a little bit more about your amazing organization?
Thanks, Josephine. In the absence of sufficient implementation of restorative justice mechanism in the region, our work as youth leaders for restoration and development is pivoted on forgiveness and reconciliation as the only way to ensure effective reintegration of former LRA child soldiers into their communities. At your rate, we understand better the challenges that are facing our fellow victims, therefore allowing us to design solutions that will respond locally to these challenges in the community that we serve. If justice is to prevail, and if we are to ensure accountability to the people affected by the war, the best form of justice is to be sought is restorative justice, which is from where your rate begin its work. Our activities place both former child soldiers and the community at the core of our work, and we continually engage with them to support their post-conflict needs and implement locally accepted forms of justice. We have delivered a number of programs which bring together different stakeholders with former child soldiers to fuel a meaningful discussion on issues affecting our communities, just as the community parliament project. We also worked on economic empowerment projects as many child soldiers have said that one of their most urgent and immediate needs in the post-conflict environment is sustainable livelihoods and financial security. So we aim to support them in improving their household incomes and their social economic status through offering skills trainings, social enterprise loan, and financial and budget management lessons. We have been also fortunate enough to work with the Anti-Slavery Knowledge Network led by Alex Barnes of the University of Liverpool, and in conjunction with JC Sandaha at the University of Bristol to implement a program which adopts a community-led research and activities through the use of creative-based art therapies of drama, film, music, and guns as a tool for social healing and integration of former child soldiers. Yolrek is a very small and new organization with 5 members of the staff. And we recently celebrated our 4th anniversary, but we are very proud of what we have achieved so far. Our beneficiaries informed us they are grateful to our work, and as as a local based organization, we have been successful in building the trust of communities and ensuring our efforts are inclusive and do not discriminate against any individuals. I hope that this conference should provide an action plan to focus on the 4 Ps. That's the protection of human rights, prosecution of offenders, prevention of violence, and provision of services to the survivors. I thank you all, and may the Almighty God grant you protection in these unprecedented times of COVID-19.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Honestly, it was really amazing to hear about the work that you do and the work that your organisation does also within that. It seems that you cover a breadth of support which is genuinely needed within the community, and it's really important to highlight grassroots organisations like your own to the impact that it actually creates and the second chance that it provides for survivors of modern slavery. So we are really grateful for you to kind of share your experience and also the work that you currently do.